30 years and 2 years later, I'm pleased to announce that in 2022, we got this done.
Mayor Lori Lightfoot makes her pick for Chicago's first ever casino, but the fight, it's far from over. Morning, everybody. Welcome to WGN TV Political Report. I'm Paul Lisnick. Our top story this Sunday morning, Bally's bid is the mayor's pick to give Chicago a long sought-after casino, a plan that she hopes will shore up the city's pension debt and quite possibly her campaign for a second term.
In addition to presenting the strongest financial offer to the city and the highest minimum capital investment, Bally's is also the only operator that does not already have a competing casino in the Chicagoland region. That's important. And their proposal met one of the core goals that we set in the RFP. Their team has negotiated a labor peace agreement, which was an essential and key requirement for this project to move forward.
Now, the Bally's plan was picked over two rival bids from Hard Rock and River 78 with sites in the South Loop. The development would be built on the site of the existing Chicago Tribune printing plant near Chicago and Halstead in River West. Now, Nexstar Media Group owns that land. They also own WGN TV. The $1.7 billion project includes not only a casino, a theater, sports museum, hotel, restaurants, and more. City leaders are banking on the $200 million in annual revenue to plug a hole in police and fire pension funds. But look, not everybody is thrilled with the announcement, and there's a long road ahead before the deal is done. A majority of aldermen still have to approve the plan, and then it's got to go to the state gaming board for a final thumbs up. The special council committee on the casino plan was already slated to meet tomorrow, and already several aldermen have expressed concern that the mayor announced her choice before more hearings were held. Alderman Brendan Riley tweeted this just after the announcement, saying, "Sorry, but take it or leave it is not the hallmark of a deliberative process." His 42nd ward covers part of downtown and River North, right next door to the targeted Bally's site. A survey by the River North Residents Association showed more than 80% of respondents were strongly opposed to the plan, and a temporary casino is planned for the old Medina Temple in their neighborhood. Still, Mayor Lightfoot says she's confident she can get this over the finish line.
We have and we will continue to engage with city council members. There are going to be some that will vote no, and that's how the world turns. But I'm more than confident that we will have a good, solid majority that says yes.
If she's right, the casino will actually be located inside the 27th ward, just to the west. Alderman Walter Burnett was initially skeptical, saying he didn't want to deal with the project. But by Thursday, he changed his tune, saying the alternative would mean higher property taxes for everybody. And I spoke with him right after the mayor's announcement about what's next. And joining me now is Alderman Walter Burnett, whose ward will be the home of the new Bally's Casino and Entertainment Complex. So, Alderman, there were a lot of questions when the mayor made the announcement this past week about, the process and did people get a voice? So you're the alderman in the ward. Did this come as a surprise to you? Did you know it was coming? When did you find out?
So, Paul, first of all, I want to say that with that site being chosen, I never thought that they, that always was like the last site that you thought they would choose was the Tribune site. So I was a little surprised that they even chose it, right? But, the way this is a whole new process for us. I didn't really know what to expect. I know that she had, from what I understand, they had an evaluation committee looking at all of the financials from everyone, and then they made a recommendation to her, and then she made the decision.
Well, and the mayor talked about the fact that an evaluation committee did report to her, but it also appeared there was to be this, committee that Tom Tunney headed up, and there are all sorts of chairs and vice chairs on it. And according to Alderman Brian Hopkins, they didn't have the opportunity to fully meet and fully do what they needed to do. Do you know anything about that?
Well, so the thing is, I think that's just a whole nother layer, right? Because there's many layers you have to go through with this. So one, I guess how the mayor did it is she choose who it is, then it goes to the city council, then our committee at the city council evaluated go through everything with them, voted up, voted down, whatever the case may be. Then it goes to the full city council. So what she did is she didn't want to bring it to the city council until she found the one that was financial feasible for the city, the best one for the city.
You know that Alderman Riley and Hopkins, who are adjacent to your wards, they're not happy about it. But you, as the person that has this in your ward, you're the only one with veto power. To what extent are you talking to them, listening to them? Would they have any influence on you in terms of moving forward with whether you want this in that ward?
Yeah, so, you know, Brian Hopkins and Brendan Riley, to me, are two great aldermen. They're my neighbors. We've been partnering with each other for many years. Every ward, see, that's why, you know, when it's just the alderman, every ward have their exes to grind, right? Or they have their issues to deal with in their wards. And they have theirs, and they have to represent their constituents and listen to their voices. And I understand that. But as far as it being in my ward, and also as far as this thing being not just for a ward or not just for a neighborhood, is actually something that represents the whole city. I had a similar issue with a item in my ward when they were trying to bring the McDonald's headquarters to the ward. And I had to tell my constituents at that time, I know you all are concerned about the neighborhood, but some things are about the whole city, right? This one is about the whole city. This is about the city bringing a corporation to the city and being competitive and all of those things. Well, in this instance, dealing with Bally's is not about the neighborhood. It's bigger than the neighborhood. It's about $200 million a year going to help with the police and firemen's pension funds who when they retire, if they retire, they get those funds. But also, if something happened to them, their spouses will get the funds. You know, so these guys put their life on the line for us every day. You know, we all concerned about crime. We all concerned about supporting our police. So if we can't support their pension funds, I don't know what else we can do. That's one of the most important things for those guys. Now, on the other note is, the other thing is, if we don't do this, then what? Where are we going to get the money from? The state gave us an unfunded mandate to pay this off, to catch up on it. And we're going to have to come up with the money soon. And if we don't find some other way of doing it, we're going to have to raise taxes or fees or do something else that's going to put more of a burden on everyone in the city of Chicago. And God knows, Paul, you know, folks don't need any more property taxes. If the mayor was to introduce a property tax increase right now, I would vote against it because my taxes have increased already. You know, everyone's taxes have increased from this reassessment that went on, and it's hurting a lot of people, and I can't be a part of that.
So what you're saying, it kind of resonates with me, the comment you made during the press conference when you said you're not afraid of progress. That's kind of an underlying theme to what you're saying. And my other question is, everybody wants it. It seems that everybody wants the casino. They just don't want it in their own backyard. And so my question here is, in terms of the process, since polls, I think in your area basically show that 80% of the people around there don't want it in their area, do you basically see the alderman as having kind of the higher purpose, the higher calling to do what's right, even if the constituents may not support it?
Well, I have so that poll is in their wards. That poll is not in my ward. So definitely they should stand up for their constituents. I mean, that's fine. I recognize that. I understand that. And we see what the full body does. I mean, the way that this is being presented to us is not really coming from a ward, so to speak. It's coming from the top down, right? It's coming from a committee first that makes the decision, that because this not only affects one ward, this affects the whole city, and then it goes to the city council. It's not coming from my ward and then go to the city council. You know, generally when you deal with plan developments or you deal with zoning changes, it comes from the ward with the alderman, and the rest of the aldermen on the zoning committee or the plan commission will or will not agree with them. In this instance, it's coming from the city. That's why she have a committee of 34 people to make a decision from all of the committees at once and decide on if this is good for the city or not. Then it goes to the full city council. It's not coming through me, right? I'm just one alderman. Whether I'm for it or not, You still have 34 other guys who had to make a decision. And then you have 49 other guys who have to make a decision. So, I mean, it's still that process as far as the aldermen's votes, the aldermen's input is still there. They still will be able to express themselves and engage the rest of the aldermen just like we do with everything else. They even still have it all the way to until it gets on the council floor, right? And other aldermen could either go with them or not. Paul, I also say this, one of the biggest issues is traffic. And another issue that people bring up is that they don't want a lot of different people in their community. Being African-American, some folks take that as though they don't want Black people in their neighborhood, right? This is Chicago. This is America. People would be coming from all over the world to possibly visit that place. People come from all over. You can't just assume that any and everyone that comes to the place is going to be criminals or whatever the case may be, or is going to be unsafe. As far as the traffic goes, I live by the United Center, right? I live by the United Center. Guess what? Me and my neighbors, we've learned how to adapt to the traffic that happens at the United Center. People who live by White Sox Park, people who live by Wrigley Fields, people who live by all of these other big venues in the city of Chicago, they learn how to adapt. It happens all over the city. When you're in a central area, an area that can bring economic development to the city, you just need to expect that something different is going to happen in these areas because, things change. Just like, most of those folks over in the River North area. When I became alderman 27 years ago, none of them lived there. Before, when I grew up across the street from them in Cabrini Green and the row houses, we called the area Ghost Town. Nobody lived there. When I had the public housing torn down back in the 90s, then all of a sudden the developers started, changing warehouses and building residential. Now you got $1 million homes, $2 million homes and everything. So everything has to change. Folks in that community could have said, well, these high rises and these people coming over is going to be too much traffic for us, right? Or we don't want those kind of people in our area, right? They all going to call the police on us. You know what I'm saying? So we all have to sacrifice sometimes for the better good. This is one of those situations that we have to adapt. And I will say this too, Paul, I deal with a lot of different developments in my ward, and I always get the fear from people. People are always afraid. They think the worst is going to happen. And 99% of the time it's not like that. And 99% of the time, what happens is their property values go up. They end up selling, making money, and move somewhere else. And in my 27 years, I've done seen a revolving door of people who made money and moved. And most of the people who made money and moved, and 9 times out of 10, are the people who's the most fearful of the development that was getting ready to happen, but it helped them make money and move.
Alderman Walter Burnett, we covered a lot of ground. There's still some steps before this happens, but it does sound like you are behind this, and we'll be working with folks on the issues like traffic and crime and other things that are concerns. I thank you for your time, and as this process continues, please come back. I'd like to talk to you again.
Thank you, Paul.